in the era of alliances forming and breaking, United States has unveiled a new technology alliance. It's called the Pax Silica, and the US has termed it the new security paradigm. The question that's being asked is, can this be Washington's game changer against China? Well, the US says it could redefine economic security in the age of artificial intelligence. But will it really shift the balance of power when the future is becoming technology dependent? And more importantly, will this alliance be expanded further? Let's break it down for you. Pax Silica is referred to as the world's first AI economy grouping. According to its own official release, the US sees it as a new economic security paradigm, a partnership designed to secure everything needed for advanced technology. Critical minerals, energy, semiconductors, artificial intelligence infrastructure, and the supply chains that connect them. Now, in simple terms, Washington wants a tech ecosystem that does not depend on China. Remember, China already controls nearly 70% of global rare earth mining, giving it huge leverage in tech, green energy, and defense sectors. Similarly, in terms of artificial intelligence, Beijing is aiming for global AI leadership by 2030. China dominates global silica production, accounting for over 70%, far exceeding Russia as well as the United States, which produce significantly smaller amounts. Let's also talk about India. And here's where India stands in the global critical minerals race. At the moment, Pax Silica excludes India. Now, this could be because Washington and New Delhi remain locked in trade negotiations following US President Donald Trump's tariffs on Indian exports. In fact, later today, the inaugural summit will bring together the partners, including Japan, South Korea, Singapore, the Netherlands, United Kingdom, Israel, UAE, and Australia. Interestingly, Canada and the European Union, despite not being part of this alliance, will also be in attendance in this inaugural meeting of Pax Silica. No wonder questions are already being raised about India's glaring absence from the summit. Incidentally, United States, Japan, Taiwan, and South Korea also have an alliance for cooperation on semiconductors. But Taiwan, the hub of semiconductor manufacturing, is not a part of the Pax Silica alliance. You see, the alliance currently has states that the US claims host the most important companies and investors powering the global AI supply chain. And what's their combined goal? Well, it is to build a trusted network that can protect the materials and capabilities powering the AI revolution. The United States is framing Pax Silica as a new model for economic security. According to the US State Department's official release, securing supply chains, reliable technology, and resilient infrastructure are now essentials for national power and economic growth. This initiative also responds to growing concerns about coercive practices. In fact, in global trade and the rising need to safeguard sensitive technologies, at its core, Pax Silica acknowledges a key point. AI is reorganizing the global economy. Economic value will increasingly move through every layer of the AI supply chain, from minerals dug out of the ground to the chips being manufactured and the supercomputers running foundation models. As a result of this alliance, the countries will work together across software, AI models, semiconductors, manufacturing, minerals, logistics, as well as energy. They will also work together to protect their critical tech from what the US considers, quote-unquote, countries of concern. The Pax Silica declaration is expected to be signed later today. But the big question is Pax Silica the coalition that could challenge Chinese dominance in minerals, silicon, and computing power? And most importantly, will more countries join it. The future of artificial intelligence may just be heading out of this world. Companies are now racing to launch data centers into orbit, hoping to overcome earthly limits on energy, space, and construction time. Etherflex, a space-based solar technology company, announced its latest project, Galactic Brain, aimed at speeding up artificial intelligence computing by launching a constellation of solar-powered satellites. The company hopes to provide the same computing power as Earth-based data centers, and that too without the bulky infrastructure and massive energy demands. Now, this announcement, remember, comes as AI computing needs are skyrocketing. Tech giants like OpenAI, Google, and Amazon have all begun seriously considering orbital solutions to support their expanding AI operations, signaling a new race for the stars. Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos have long competed in space launches, and now they are targeting the trillion-dollar data center market. Blue Origin has been developing orbital AI technology for more than a year now, while SpaceX plans to upgrade Starlink satellites to carry AI computing payloads, which is part of a strategy that could value the company at $800 billion. Deploying satellites with significant AI computing capability, remember, presents major engineering challenges. Scientists and engineers must navigate the cost of launching swarms of satellites, cooling computers in space, and ensuring reliable connectivity back to Earth. In Europe, the ASCEND study, a 16-month research project which is funded by the European Commission, has found space-based data centers to be technically, economically, and environmentally feasible. Coordinated by Thales Alenia Space, the study examined how orbital data centers could relieve Earth's energy demands by harnessing solar power. Analysts say this move to orbit could revolutionize AI computing. It would allow massive machine learning systems to operate without the environmental and infrastructure strains of Earth-based centers. But questions remain. How much will it cost? How reliable will the connections be? And can AI really scale in the harsh environment of space? As tech giants, startups, and governments race to put data centers in orbit, the next AI revolution may no longer be limited to Earth. From solar-powered satellites to European studies showing feasibility, the battle for orbital computing is just beginning. But the question is no longer how much AI will grow, it is whether it will grow among the stars. A disturbing case out of the United States is raising fresh questions about the risks of artificial intelligence and its impact on vulnerable users. In Connecticut, a family has filed a wrongful death lawsuit against OpenAI and Microsoft after a former tech worker killed his 83-year-old mother in what the police describe as a murder-suicide. The family alleges that the man's paranoia and delusions were intensified and in some cases directly validated by months of conversations with ChatGPT. 56-year-old Stein Erik Solberg, who had a documented history of mental health issue, lived with his mother, Susan Adams. In the town of Greenwich, according to the lawsuit, he spent long stretches talking to the chatbot about what he believed was a vast conspiracy targeting him. In one example, cited in the complaint, Solberg asked ChatGPT whether his mother's printer was spying on him. Now, the chatbot allegedly agreed. On his YouTube channel, Solberg had posted hours of footage, scrolling through these conversations. The family says the AI chatbot repeatedly told him that he was not mentally ill, reinforcing his fears that he was being watched upon and insisted that he could trust no one besides the chatbot itself. His son Eric Solberg told the Wall Street Journal that his father became rapidly more paranoid in the months leading up to the killing. He says ChatGPT, which his father referred to as Bobby, told him that he had a divine purpose and that every day people around him were part of an adversary circle. The lawsuit claims the chatbot never suggested seeking professional help, even as Solberg's messages showed clear signs of emotional distress. It also accuses OpenAI of failing to build adequate safeguards and of designing a system that could foster emotional dependence in vulnerable users. OpenAI has not released the full chat logs to the family. In a statement, the company called the situation as incredibly heartbreaking and said that it continues to improve ChatGPT's ability to recognize distress and guide users to real-world support. Now, this case is believed to be the first in the United States linking a homicide, not a suicide, to an AI chatbot's responses. Solberg's family is seeking unspecified damages and a court order requiring OpenAI to strengthen its safety features. But this lawsuit is just the latest in a growing list of cases that have accused AI systems of contributing to mental health crises. This is especially pertinent as the AI industry is expanding rapidly and reaches hundreds of millions of users worldwide. Shifting our focus to markets now, a cautious mood in Indian markets is back, with benchmark stocks marking a second straight weekly loss after hitting all-time highs. The rupee crashed to a record low for the second straight session on Friday. While stocks have rebounded, the rupee continues to take a hit, and the ongoing rout risks a vicious cycle. Sentiment remains shaky due to foreign outflows from domestic stocks and the delay in a U.S. trade pact. The rupee breached the 90.5 per dollar mark for the first time on Friday, extending the rout from the previous session when the currency crashed to a record low. The rupee weakness has set the tone for broader market anxiety. Without a trade deal with Washington, Indian exports face a stiff 50% tariff. India's goods trade deficit hit an all-time high in October, with imports surging and exports taking a hit from tariffs. However, trade talks between the US and India have gained fresh momentum in recent months. Official negotiations followed a phone call between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Donald Trump. It reinforced that optimism. However, any sort of a trade deal still remains elusive, with both sides touting solid progress in talks. The rupee has also weakened because of the continued outflow of foreign capital from domestic stocks. Foreign investors remain net sellers, with outflows totaling $18 billion from the Indian stock market this year. The currency has fallen about 6% so far this year. That makes the rupee the worst performing Asian currency of 2025. Currency traders say the latest drag is the outflow from both stocks and bonds. They state that each renewed drop in the rupee makes global investors less keen to buy Indian assets. India's opposition political party, the Congress, has targeted the government for the rupee's repeated record lows this year. Last week, Congress Chief Mallikarjun Kharge alleged that the currency was weakening because of the government's policies. He said, and I quote, "If the government's policy was good, the value of the rupee would increase." While political leaders have been at loggerheads on the rupee's decline, the Reserve Bank of India's Governor Sanjay Malhotra and Chief Economic Advisor V. Ananta Nageswaran have said that they are comfortable with the current moves in the currency. In fact, Nageswaran said that he was not losing sleep over the fall in the value of the rupee. And the reason is that it was not impacting inflation or exports. The RBI, for its part, has stepped in to ease any sharp sell-off in the currency. But under the new governor, the central bank has stepped off the gas on intervention.